Welcome back to Blk Blu Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Morgan. Thank you for all your support that you guys have given us thus far. So much more to come. We got some special guests lined up for you. But before I get into that, thank you for all your support. Please click the like button, subscribe, the bell if you want notifications on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcast, as well as the bonus episodes of the Blk Blu Podcast on Patreon. So click that button there to check us out on Patreon. But we'd like to thank our sponsors, ROKA Eyewear, for making this happen, and introduce our guest, David Etheridge. Welcome.
Thanks for having me here, Kyle. I appreciate it, bud.
No, man, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. You guys, if you haven't heard of David Etheridge, you will now. So he's a friend of ours in the family here, and a local farmer. Owner and operator of Etheridge Farms.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's somewhat first generational. Both of my parents grew up on farms in the area, and however they farmed part time. Particularly my father did, and then he farmed on the side. And then after school, it was kind of what I knew I wanted to do, and have pursued it for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, before we get into that, our sponsor wants to give you a gift. So from ROKA Eyewear, we have a couple things to give you here that maybe you can apply into farming or just everyday wear.
Let's see here, man. I really appreciate that, dude. It's awfully kind of you guys. Oh, dude.
Yeah, so those are the SR1 XTs, so in flat dark earth.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, so it's
an
extra
sweet eye pro right there, man.
Yeah,
right there, guys.
Yeah.
We'll get you some of that, man. Make sure you keep those eyes protected when you're out there taking your reps on the range.
You can interchange the lenses and all that, but they give you the Z87 Plus, wraparound ballistic protection as well. And then those are the AT1 in dark canopy. So they're more of like an everyday wear, but still give you that kind of wraparound protection.
Dude, this is really freaking nice, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, ROKA, for sponsoring this show so Kyle can give me a pair of glasses, man.
Yeah, buddy.
That's pretty awesome.
If nothing comes from this, you got some nice pair of glasses.
Shades.
Yeah.
And some eye pro, man. Let's see what else we got in here.
What else is in there?
Yeah, man, nice cap. Blueberry Solutions, man. I guess I need to switch my hat out and put this one on, don't I, man?
Not yet. No, man. Let's rock that Etheridge Farms hat. Maybe for the bonus episode, we'll put that one on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and sitting down with us here.
No, man, I appreciate it. And anytime, I really welcome the opportunity to get to speak on behalf of agriculture and agriculture producers and some of the struggles that we've got.
Yeah.
In this day and time. So I appreciate you having me on your platform to do this.
No, I think this is going to be a really interesting episode, man, because every time we have conversations, there's just struggles that you have through your day that are different, but also not that different than what I struggle with. And I think that's just because of the type of person that you are and that I am. Obviously we're friends, but we do different jobs. And I think that's the cool part about bringing you on this show, to be able to talk about agriculture, and then you mentioned it, like growing up in that, right? So like, it's a family farm?
Yeah, it is. So like I said, both of my father was from the next county over, right? But my mother, primarily where we live, right? Where the epicenter of it is family land. My mom's family immigrated here from Scotland in the 1700s, dude. They were starving to death in their country. They had nothing, and like a lot of immigrants, they came here when North Carolina was a place where, hey, if you settle here, it's free. It was backwoods. So, no one leaves where they are, crosses an ocean, because they think where they left from is better than where they're going, right? So that was kind of how we got here, and we've been here ever since. My parents met in college, and that's how my father ended up here. But yes, where we are now is where we've always been. So yeah, some history there. We've been around the area for a while.
Yeah,
but
that's like growing up in that though. What was that like as a child, like growing up into farming?
You know, man, looking back on it, I was super lucky. You know, you didn't think getting up and having to go pull sand lugs, which are the lower leaves on fluke your tobacco plant, right? When it's hot outside and you had to get up early and
What
go
are those
do
called?
that.
Sand lugs?
Sand lugs, yeah, they're actually so on
Now
a
you
tobacco
know.
plant,
Now you
right?
know.
The very bottom leaves are called sand lugs, right? And so you can imagine starting at daylight, getting wet, you're bent over until you get, usually when it was around 12, 1 o'clock, when it gets really hot, we would kind of stop. Back then we'd have things done as far as pulling it in the field, but it didn't feel lucky then.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like, man, this really sucks and I don't want to do this, but I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it and how fortunate I was to have some of those experiences in a rural area as a child. Because, man, it imparted work ethic, a little bit of teamwork, right? Because you and everyone else that's out there, you're working towards a common goal, which is let's get this knocked out so we can get out of this hot place and go play the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah.
Go play ball, do whatever else was next. So it was a great way to come up,
Was there you have brothers and sisters? Or?
Yeah, I have an older brother and an older sister.
Yeah.
Not as my sister is and brother both very talented people. My sister was very academically driven and had other pursuits. She is she's an overachiever in the academic world, right? Like just a super smart chick, full ride to UNC and then on to law school and so forth and so on. My brother was similar. I was definitely more interested in playing in the dirt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was not. They did their part, but that was kind of what I kind of realized fairly early on. That's what I wanted to do. And
but everybody, like they were obviously older,
everyone
everyone
participated. Yeah. If we had something going on, they were doing it. My when I was younger, my father, they had a lot of hogs out on the ground. Right, this was before the hog houses as we know it today became commonplace. A lot of people would grow pigs outdoors. And so one of my first memories would be when we would bring in the piglets to doctor tails, cut their needle teeth, and castrate the males. And as archaic as that kind of sounds, as a kid, it was fun. Because we'd play with the piglets. They would do their thing, and quite honestly, dude, like the mountain oysters that came from it, we had a little dog called Snoopy out there, and half the time I was feeding mountain oysters to the dog and just running around being a kid.
What is a mountain oyster?
Nuts.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of a nice way to put it, but you're castrating small pigs, so kids are doing what kids do, man. Yeah. You make a game out of whatever. So, I don't want to know if I want to put playing with hog balls on my resume, but I guess it's there.
Builds character,
right? Yeah.
No, but everybody partook in that. Like
we did,
as, like whatever had to get done.
Yeah.
How did school, like growing up in that lifestyle, was school kind of like got in the way of it?
Actually, the opposite. That was job one, right? Was to get good marks in school, not to get in trouble. However, when I got home, there was something waiting for me to do.
Yeah.
Right. So it was expected to maintain your schoolwork, to do well. Because just like my sister and my brother, I think they knew early on, hey, this isn't where I want to be. I didn't do bad in school by any means, but I couldn't wait to get off. If I wasn't on a tractor, I wanted to be around it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just absorbed everything about agriculture I could. I mean, there was two things that I liked as a kid, right? Everybody, Rambo, that was a big thing, right? So it was playing Army, or it was just riding a tractor. That was the two things that I loved as a kid, and playing ball. Yeah. In particular. So, but no, there was an emphasis on schoolwork. My parents definitely valued education.
Yeah. What do you think about being on the farm, or as you say, on the tractor? What about that was like very, if you weren't doing that, you feel like you were missing it, Like, what about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the freedom of it, So as a young person, even as young as 10 or 11 years old, you can't drive a vehicle, right? Sure. But but legally now I can go on this tractor. I can go down the road. I can have this autonomy to go do this work, nobody's really telling me what to do. I mean, I've been told, go here, do this.
If you mess up, you get told, like, hey.
If you get messed up, right, you're going to deal with the consequences of it. But who else, at that age has that freedom of movement? And that was something that.
So it's a responsibility and the autonomy 100%. to execute that at
Absolutely.
a young age.
Yeah. And you get a taste of that, right? And it's kind of like in your last job, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between being at that top tier level versus some of the lower levels, right? The autonomy to do things and execute things. It's similar but different.
Comes with great responsibility.
It does. It does. Yep. But it's something was very much, I just loved it, right? Even then you go to school and your friends that didn't do that stuff, and they're kind of like, they're talking about, sitting at home watching cartoons. And I'm like, I was freaking plowing beans this afternoon. And like, we're in the same grade, but we're doing different things.
Yeah. When did so your older brother and sister, like, at what age were they like, I'm here, but that's not my forever?
Oh, I think it was pretty apparent. Yeah. By high school, my brother, he's getting a job at Food Line bagging groceries. My parents, it was very much, you're going to do something. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to have a job. You're not going to just lay around. He was working at Food Line. And my sister, to be honest with you, kind of got a pass on that because, look, when I can't stress this enough, like, super proud of her. Like, she's a very, very smart woman. She played sports, but sports and academics, because she excelled in those so well, it was kind of like, and we all kind of understood it. Like, nobody was jealous about it or upset about it.
Yeah.
But one thing that I will tell you that, and this is kind of work ethic tied into parents who, we always had enough, but I wouldn't say that we were like super freaking well off. I mean, we didn't go to bed hungry. There wasn't things, but my parents weren't buying us vehicles and things like that when we turned 16. My brother, he did, right? And because my dad had to buy him a vehicle, I remember he got this really, really crappy car, right? That lesson was not lost on my sister and I. It was, you better make enough money to buy a vehicle, or you're going to get what dad gives you, and you're probably not going to want to drive it around.
What, he got a vehicle because he worked? Like,
But he waited for my parents to buy him something, right?
Yeah.
So he got like a wrecked Chevy Caprice that my uncle fixed for him, and I mean, it was a real turd.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that was also instilled. Like, if you want it, you better be ready to work for it.
Yeah. Because
if you're waiting for them to do it for you, well, then you're going to get what you get.
Get what you get.
You're going to get what you get.
Yeah.
So better get out and hustle it up. And I think on all three of us, that was a lesson that was well received. And I'm super appreciative of it.
Yeah. So did you, so they obviously, went on their path. And then when you graduated high school, did you go to college or did you?
I did a brief stint.
Yeah.
I visited NC State for a while, had a good time. Did learn some things. I'll tell you, there's one particular guy that sticks out in my mind. His name is Professor Herman Sampson. Big guy from Kentucky. I think he came there originally to play football and got hurt, but he was an economics professor. And of all the courses I had, Herman Sampson's the one that really stuck in, because this guy, two things. He was a mountain of a dude, like, big dude, super intelligent, but he chewed tobacco the whole time. He's the only person I've ever seen could lecture for an hour, spit once, and when he did it, like he filled up a trash can. But the man, everything that he was trying to teach us was real life applications. And I retained a lot from that. Made some good friends, but primarily I was there for the extracurricular activities. Yeah. So it was time to come on and go to work after 2 years.
What did you pursue though? Like, what was
I was doing ag business.
Ag business.
Okay. And quite frankly, look, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I was borderline wasting some of my parents' money and time. So came on home and went to work, and the first thing that I did was there was a program, and I'm sure it still exists, that is backed through the USDA, right, for essentially upstarts, right? Like, because you don't have anything, but you want to do something. So it's essentially like your co-signer is Uncle Sam, right? And I borrowed money. I'd found small piece of property and borrowed money to build a chicken facility, like 4 chicken houses, right? That's really how I got my start with that. And did that for years and years. And then I ended up selling those maybe around 09 to 2010, something like that. So yeah, it's a good decade that I had chickens and row cropped at the same time. And I tell you, dude, I don't know. You were probably, I don't know if you were in town, you might have heard a scream that day that I closed on selling them because I was overjoyed. It was not my. I got mad respect for anyone that's in the animal business, whether you're growing hogs or chickens or turkeys, whatever. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, it was not where my passion lied, you know, but it was what I had to do to.
Because you grew up, what was y'all's primary crops?
Yeah, I mean, so we had some animals, but they were not in an enclosed facility, but tobacco and things like that. Now, to kind of explain how that was at the time, prior to 2004, tobacco was federally regulated as far as the pounds and acres. There was what they called an allotment system. And at this time, you know, when I'm getting out of school and coming back trying to do my thing, you've got a lot of guys all over eastern North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, every state that grew tobacco. They're renting this allotment, right? So it's not like you just go out here and, hey, I'm going to plant X number of acres. It doesn't work that way at the time. So it was very competitive for it. So I had a very small amount of tobacco that I could grow personally. So I needed to supplement it with something else if I was going to be able to farm. Mm-hmm. And then that system was bought out in 2004 by the tobacco companies. So if you remember, there was a bunch of lawsuits and stuff. It may not have been something that was on your radar at the time, you know. But if you think back to it, you'll remember seeing it in the paper or whatever. There was a lot of lawsuits. Tobacco companies were getting sued because I think what brought it about was the smokers saying that they were manipulating the nicotine levels and things to make them more addictive.
More addictive, yeah.
And some people won those lawsuits, which eventually they just bought the quota system out. The government is completely out of it, right? So now it's just a free market system. And that allowed me to grow within that system once the allotment was done. Peanuts used to be the same way. You know, we grow peanuts now. Back then, there were no peanuts in this county because there was no peanut allotment. So there's been some good and bad that came out of the buyout of those commodities. And we can get into that, the good and the bad, you know.
But I as you're telling that story, I'm thinking, did you not have a plan to run your family's farm?
Well, yeah,
out of school?
I did. But the thing of it is, it wasn't really big enough to be sustainable as like a full time. That's why it was always like a side gig for my dad, right? Like he had a job in addition to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the labor and stuff for doing that were the kids and family members kicking in. But it wasn't enough that I could say, hey, I can just do this. No, I've got to grow this thing out to make it sustainable. So that was where the addition of having to do the chicken houses and stuff had to come through. I needed a revenue stream that was steady in addition to the row crop. The row crop stuff, you know, the tobacco, the soybeans and whatnot, the potatoes, was where my passion was. But there just wasn't enough of it under the construct of that system at the time for it to be my full time.
Yeah, I guess for like the viewers and for me is you know, a lot of kids, you know, go to school and then want to make their own way. And
sure.
And was there some of that too, or was it just like,
yeah, definitely wanted it. Yeah. 100%. You know, 100% wanted to make my own way. Yeah, 100%.
But not just like leaving that responsibility, you know, alone. You know, it's just saying I'm gonna make this thing significantly more impactful.
It was quite honestly the best way to describe it was burn the boats because I didn't have a plan B. Yeah, I mean it was I'm gonna make this work. And quite frankly, you know, my grandmother
but not at the detriment of your family's farm.
No. But at the time,
out of spite is what I'm getting at. It's like
sure, no.
Some people might do it just in spite of, you know, doing something that their family either forced them into, or, you know, how some kids may view whatever it is. It could be whatever profession.
No, it was definitely not in spite of. It was just like, hey, I'm going to make this work. Like we've got a little something here, but I'm going to make this big enough that it can be my full-time profession, self-sustaining.
But the reasoning is, instead of going right in and trying to grow it, was the allotment thing was keeping it limited, right?
Correct.
So
that was my ceiling. That was the barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Because at that time there were around here, dude, there were so many more farmers. Like tobacco, what it's been for North Carolina historically, smaller farms, but there were small family deals, right? And there were a lot of people in this community. I mean, I can just, even around my house, I could sit here and name off 6 or 7 guys back then that were all producers.
Yeah.
That when the allotment went away, they just said, "Yeah, good enough." You know, they may have had another job or whatever else, and they bowed out. So for me to be able to grow as I have, that kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
And it just kind of coincided. It wasn't that, that's just how things worked out. It was a timing thing. That's all. I mean, look, there was a time prior to, and I remember I was dating my ex-wife at the time, and she lived down towards Fayetteville, right? And I remember I was driving home because I was, I had this thing in my head. I was like, man, I know I'm not going to be able to, I can't just do what little bit we've got right here and make a living. Like, it's not going to work. And I'd been trying to find a piece of property. The chicken thing was kind of like what I wanted to do in addition to, right? Mm-hmm. But I was 20 at the time, and that was the only time I went to a recruiter, believe it or not.
Did you?
Yeah. And I was going to do the SF baby thing, but at that time they'd moved it. You had to be 21. So, and this is how God works, right? Okay. I went down there, kind of signed it to do all that stuff. And this was in August, my birthday. So I was going to have to wait until January to turn 21. Now, I probably could have gone on in to basic or whatever, but let's be clear. That wasn't what I wanted to do. This is kind of what I thought my options were, right? And my grandmother, of all people, had a piece of property that was kind of standalone, away from everything else. She knew how bad I wanted it, right? And so she agreed to sell that thing to me. If there's one key moment that changed my trajectory my whole life, it was that.
Really?
Yeah. Because then obviously all this other stuff, when they're calling me and they're, they're kind of trying to give you the bluff. Oh, I got you. And had another family member and he's like, no, they don't have you, dude. You're good. Like, go on with your thing. Mm-hmm. I thought back to that because that changed. Now, would I have made it? Who knows? That's speculation.
Did she know you were trying to sign up, your grandmother?
No.
She had no idea?
Nobody. I don't think I told anybody. I didn't even tell my parents. I didn't even tell my children's mother. Mm-hmm. I don't think she found out about that until, this was in 2000, so she didn't find out about it probably until after we divorced.
Yeah.
That's around 2019. Yeah. I just didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But it was, and I thought about that, Kyle, right? Like, my grandmother allowed me to pursue what was my real passion. But there's two folds here, right? I do think whatever you do in life, you have to be fully committed to. I don't know that plan Bs are a good or bad thing, but if it's something that's hard and you got a plan B, I don't know that you're going to be successful. So my plan B being something that would have taken total commitment, would have I been successful? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Do I have the ability to do things hard and be successful? Yes, but unless you're all in, I don't know. That's a great question. That's a question I'll never know the answer to. But I would dare say, when you're looking at doing anything that's really hard in life, unless you're just like, man, this is what I'm doing, mm-hmm. I think there's a high likelihood you won't be successful.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's one of those things where putting all your eggs in one basket is, it all depends on like the timing of that decision. But to serve this country, if it's to serve it to be a special forces soldier, and then you get told that you can't do that route, but you can try again if you do this route, like that's something where, do you really want it?
Yeah. Because
that's what it might have boiled down to in your situation, is like, you can join, but you're going to have to go this route and then try apply once you're of age and all that other stuff.
Had I been in the machine, and decided that's what I was going to do, I think that's one thing. I was having to wait till I was 21. Now, could I have gone ahead and gone on the basic? No, I chose to be delayed, and I'm glad I did, because that was God's timing for me. I'm doing what I'm meant to do, right? I'm where I'm supposed to be, 100%. You know, and look, I'm really grateful. I got the opportunity. I'm gonna tell you right now, just like I tell some of my other friends, right? I got to do what I want to do because I didn't have to worry about what happened here. Because folks like yourself, look, you do the things that are necessary for us to be protected and free. So thank you for that, and all other service members or firemen, police officers, anybody out there. Thank you, right? Straight up. I got to do what I want to do, and that's just, I think that's a wonderful thing about America, and a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man, because we got to eat, and you know, it's not just tobacco. You know, what are some of the other crops that you actually?
Yeah. Let's kind of put tobacco aside because that's kind of our dirty little secret there nowadays, right? But so we sweet potatoes, peanuts, soybeans, and look, I'll tell you, if there's one thing that really I like the tradition about the tobacco, but my passion, what I really take the most joy in, is sweet potatoes. Yeah, because
I knew you were gonna say that.
It is, dude. It's 100%. Like, look, I'm not trying to follow on any swords
too, man,
here.
To see it. Obviously, I didn't see all of that led to where you're at now. But every time I've been over to the farm, I'm just like, man, this is impressive. When we say sweet potatoes, we're talking about, like, what do you call the crates? Like
the bin boxes.
Bins? I mean, hundreds and hundreds. I mean, if not thousands. Like
we're probably around 4,000 40 bushel bins that we can store.
It's just like it's not a small operation when we're talking about this. It's not just plucking some sweet potatoes out there. It's
man. Well,
it's impressive, man.
And so North Carolina, I think we're roughly 60 to 65% of the sweet potato production in the U.S. All right, so we're kind of in the epicenter of it here. Most of it is up the I-95 corridor. You know, is where the majority of it lays. But yeah, I truly enjoy it, and part of that is the fact, like I was trying to say earlier, I don't follow any swords, but I personally do. I don't like the fact that tobacco hurts people. I really don't. Now, am I going to quit growing it? No, it's legal as long as it's profitable. I'm going to, but knowing that,
but also seasonally, right? Doesn't you can only grow certain crops during certain seasons, right?
That's correct.
Based on weather, based on
typically speaking, just kind of say for most things, they're going to go in the ground, end of March into April, typically. With sweet potatoes, we'll start transplanting those in May and then try and wrap up by about the 4th of July. And then usually about 110 days later, we're harvesting sweet potatoes if the weather's good. So we're in the heart and throes of digging sweet potatoes right now. I'm getting close to halfway done with it. And we'll probably, once this little storm system pushes out, we'll start flipping some peanuts up probably this week and letting them dry. And then we'll start combining peanuts as well.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about that. This is my first year with peanuts. This is a new one on me. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
and you plant those at the same time?
The peanuts, yeah, around April, May. Yeah, a lot of stuff. It's a really busy time of the year. Tobacco goes in April into early May as well. But the sweet potatoes, yeah, man, that's I mean, you see, I'm probably smiling about it. I just enjoy them. Yeah. I enjoy putting something in there, and that's another thing. You don't know what you have until you dig it. Right? There's kind of that mystery. It's like unwrapping a present every day. Now, it's like unwrapping a box of dog turds when the weather's bad and you've got a horrible yield. But I'm smiling this year because they're pretty good. We've had a good season. But,
are there indicators like along the way, like based on weather?
There's things that you can,
how the soil looks, or
with sweet potatoes, your vine health, right? But you can look at the vines but that doesn't tell you necessarily what's under it. It just kind of shows you they're actively growing and looking pretty good. However, there's certain things you can infer. If you get some decent rains, you kind of know, hey, I'm probably got some decent sets. When I say sets, it's just like, are there 2, 3, 4, or 5 potatoes underneath each plant? That's a big indication of yield. If your sets are good, that's certainly going to help with the yield. I'll go out there from time to time. You might see me passing by, like out there with a shovel. What's he doing? I'll dig one up once in a while, just to kind of look at it and take a look at the sets, see how big they are, to kind of monitor that. But when we've had seasonal rains this year, and typically when you get weather like that, things are going to go pretty well.
Yeah.
And look, man, agriculture we've been in a really tough spot for some time now. So thankfully, we haven't had any hurricanes this year. We haven't had any really bad weather events. So when we're battling really low commodity prices, at least we've got a decent yield, probably one of the biggest things, well, a few points on that, man, if you'll allow me to expand on that. We are in an area here where we're getting a lot of growth, people moving in from out of state, right? And a lot of land's going into development. And that's certainly one of the things that's a threat for us when it takes open land, just to produce your crops, right? That we are losing it at a rapid pace. Now, you can't fault anyone for moving from another state for a better quality of life and things like that.
What do you mean by losing? Like,
well, yeah, dude, they're putting subdivisions. Yeah, people are putting subdivisions on farms. You're just losing open land, and there's just more houses coming in here because I think North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, and Tennessee are like some of the biggest landing spots for people relocating from up north in California.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting a lot of growth of people just moving here from out of state because.
Yeah, but if you own the land, how does that?
Well, I don't own all the land that I farm. That's the thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, dude. Look, I'll be honest with you, Kyle. If I owned all the land that I farmed, I probably wouldn't be really worried about, driving a tractor around. We own some.
Yeah.
Like personally, I own 2 farms, and then my family owns some. But I'm farming open, just row crop land, not forestry land included in it, around 1,300 acres of land.
Mm-hmm.
If I owned all that, I might not be all that concerned about it, but there's certainly not that kind of generational wealth floating around. I inherited a work ethic.
Yeah. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's the case for most people.
So if they sell that plot that was agriculturally zoned,
yes, sir.
Now they zone it for residential and.
Yeah, it's just gone, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the case for me and everybody else farming,
Yeah.
I could, dude may own, a few hundred acres, right? But if it takes 1,000, 1,500 acres for him to do his stuff. So now you've got me competing with resources with my neighbors, or I've been fortunate to pick some stuff up, but I'm having to travel farther,
mm-hmm.
But no, it has put pressure on all of us because we're losing the resource that we need.
How do you come across the land to do that? Is it like adjacent land, or is it like you just said, like pick up another spot?
Quite frankly, dude, just people that I know. Sometimes it's been word of mouth, that they know someone, and you'll get a call. Like I've got a call the other day, would you be interested in this? And it was near some that I already tend. And I was just really fortunate to get that, where you'll have someone that retires and you may absorb some of theirs,
And you just sign like a sublease?
Dependent. Yeah. So I've got some people that I do 3-year leases where I pay 3 years of the lease up front. Mm-hmm. Some people are just year to year. But most of it is cash rent for most row crop guys, probably anywhere in the U.S.
Road crop?
Row crop, like just row, R-O-W.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Most people in the U.S., that's going to be the way it is. Like they're very,
what, say again?
Most people are going to be a cash rent basis.
Yeah.
There's some areas where people do percentages, right? Like I'll plant your stuff and you get a percentage of the harvest in lieu of cash rent. But around here, typically it's just a cash rent.
And in that case, they would have to do something, take it to market, right?
Yeah,
if it wasn't a cash rent thing.
I think a lot of times, because I don't have any of those, so I'm kind of a little over my skis on that. But I think typically what it is like the producer may take it to market and they just put a percentage of it. Like the grower gets 80% and the landowner gets 20% or something like that. And those percentages might be off. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
So is it a fixed cash rate thing? So like regardless of the market?
It is in our area pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
There's usually a range in there, between X and Y where everybody's kind of falls, and it's pretty close. Most everybody's paying about the same thing. It can vary when you go into some areas, but I couldn't speak as to what it is in Rocky Mount. I don't know because I'm not in that area, but I pretty well know what it is around here.
Yeah. Well, what is the big tobacco? Is that tobacco leaf?
Yeah, sir.
You want to talk about that? I know we moved on from tobacco.
Yeah. So when my parents were kids, right? and if you notice around here, these old barns, I know you've noticed them,
Yeah.
but you probably didn't know what it was, right? Well, it was stick barns. So whereas I have these box barns, they would tie the tobacco on a stick, hang it up, take it out, put it in what they call a pack house. And typically your parents would put it in a pit, which tobacco has to have humidity to get where you can handle it. Because it's sitting in this room with the air conditioner on, it's getting a little dried out, it's pulling the moisture out of it. But the family would come into the pack house after the kids got off of school and they would tie tobacco. So they would take it off the stick, they would grate it, and then tie it up just like this and put it on a basket and carry it to market that way. So now it hasn't been done that way for a long, long time, but just kind of the historical aspect of it is tying tobacco. So that's why I pulled some leaves out and tied it up for you and brought it here, and it does smell good. You know, it's one thing. I don't know if you can smell it from where you're sitting. Where I'm sitting, it smells really good.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does, dude.
Let me see that thing.
Yeah, Fluke-Cured tobacco has a very aromatic smell to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Fluke-Cured tobacco, which is what we produce around here, is used in cigarette manufacturing.
Yeah.
So it's not going to make it into your dip can. It's just that's the only use that tobacco has.
Well,
So.
I figured that's a good time for the only non-tobacco product I have is in. I'm sure you've seen this, but the Zen Toss Challenge. Have you seen this?
Yeah. Let's try it.
You got to dip in, don't you?
Nah, I gotta.
Let's see if I still got it, dude. This is a nicotine-only product. Oh,
Almost.
man, that was close, dude.
Almost, but
There
you ain't getting it back.
Yes, dude. The farmer, I should have never even doubted that. He's like, I'll take 2.
Yeah, send it on over here, buddy.
No, was there a photo that you had to show?
Actually, yeah, dude. I think I sent it to Erica. Did
Yeah.
she get it to you, Starship?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's what the experience would have been like for my parents, typically, right? Like they would come home from school, and so grading tables, it's the pegs where they would put the tobacco leaves and they would grade it out and they would tie it up. And man, honestly, I've talked to my dad about this. My dad just turned 84, so, and I was like, man, y'all just did a lot of unnecessary work for them to carry that crap.
Is this a family photo?
No, that's just one that I found. It's just a historical photo. Yeah. Man, I'm gonna tell you, my family did not document. They didn't take a lot of pictures.
No.
They just didn't. No, I wish they had, but people worked a lot back then, and look, there's probably a certain amount of freedom in the fact that they understood how to butcher their own animals and grew a garden and things like that. You and I were talking about this offline. It's really great skills to have. I hope we never have a supply chain breakdown.
Yeah.
But we are in a situation that I think we could potentially have a real problem in the next 20 to 25 years.
Yeah, and that's something that I think on the bonus episode, I think it'd be great to dive into a little bit deeper, but not just about, I'm curious why you think that is, but that self-reliance, that whole like being more prepared. There's a difference between, I think, someone just living off the grid and, doing things in this kind of paranoid kind of mindset versus just being more prepared and, the homesteaders and all that. Like, I think there's something to be said about the capability to truly have the capability of not only sourcing your own food, not just sourcing it, but like planning it from the creation of it and nurturing it. And then, sustaining it, like sustainable means of produce and things like that. I think it's a skill that you can't just read on a book somewhere.
I 100% agree with you on that. It's just good skills to have, right? Like there's just things that we have kind of gotten away from as a society because look, things are easy. We're fortunate here that we're a first world, and we have these accessibility to things. But just as you would teach your guys like proper weapons manipulation and how to do things, right? Like knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. What do you do in the event?
Yeah. So that's like our motto at Blue Bearing is prepare for the known and react to the unknown. And the knowns are things that are good for you in your life, never getting complacent with those, right? Because it's not like once I have it, I always have it. Mm-hmm. it's not like riding a bike. Some of these skills are some of the most perishable skills I've ever learned and teach: shooting, moving, and communicating, and medicating. But adding in, the reacting to the unknown side of this is they become subconscious. And if you share them with me, they can become unknown for me, and vice versa. That's the knowledge is one of the most powerful things if we share it. It's also one of the most selfish things if we're not willing to share it. But I think it's just a matter of reacting to the unknown. I want those things to be subconscious. They're operating on another level that doesn't take that front surface bandwidth to execute.
Right.
And that the only way they become unknown in that sense is a quality repetition of practicing them, and obviously operational experience using it. But it applies to any skill that you want to learn, that you think is good for you in your life. Like, you have to practice it with intention for it to become a known. So when things do hit the fan, or the supply chain issue is broken, or as you're alluding to, some sort of breakdown in how we get our food here.
Yeah, I think for me, and I don't know if this is something you want to discuss now or in the next episode, but one of the biggest existential threats to me and my business, right? Tobacco side of it, like, just put that to the side, but fruit and vegetable production in the U.S., we're, as growers, we are reliant upon what's called the H-2A visa process, which is foreign workers, right?
Foreign what?
Foreign guest workers.
Yep.
It's a visa process that's run through the Department of Labor.
I'm translating that North Carolina.
There. Yeah, I might need to enunciate a little better, right?
I was like, what? Foreign, what?
Yeah. Anytime that I'm speaking a foreign English tongue, I don't realize how thick my accent is at times, right?
I haven't really noticed it too much when we're talking, but for whatever reason right now, some of the things we're talking about, like those little words, kind of blend.
My enunciation isn't great, but so for those of you at home that may or not know anything about how most farms work, like, I've got, my son helps part-time. He's still in high school, but I have one American worker that's a full-time guy, right? But all of my other workforce is Hispanic through the H-2A program. They come here on a 10-month visa, and then they go back to Mexico, of which, and most everyone that I know, in fact, I don't know anyone who doesn't use them, uses the H-2A program. So we are responsible we have to provide housing, all of the transportation costs. The housing is inspected first by the county, then by the state. Once we get the housing certification, then we can apply for the grower visas. We pay the visa cost, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of around $1,000 a worker, the transportation costs and everything, right? And then the wage is dictated by the Department of Labor. And currently it's $16.16 an hour, whereas the U.S. minimum wage is $7.25. But these guys, they don't pay any taxes, like none whatsoever. So everything they make is straight to them. Mm-hmm. But you've got to understand, like, for instance, when you have a large workforce doing sometimes just menial agricultural tasks, like riding a transplanter, transplanting sweet potatoes, I mean, you're talking about $1,000 an hour labor cost, right? You go to the grocery store, sweet potatoes are $1 a pound. They've been that way forever, But when our wage rates have gone up over the last 10 years, they've gone up 50%. Or in that same period of time, Social Security adjustment for living and military wages have gone up 31%. Our wages for our guys are outpacing what service members and Social Security recipients are receiving. And we can't get an answer for why. And immigration reform is needed, but it seems to be a very polarizing thing with everybody, whether they're on the right or the left. And we just haven't been able to get anything done. What it is doing, though, is squeezing all the profitability out of us. It's a huge wealth transfer into the workforce that is going tax-free directly back to their house. And look, you can't fault the guys. Like that, this is a system in which they're working in, but it's killing us. And that's probably, when I say what is a big threat to our ability to continue to produce fruits and vegetables, because it's not just North Carolina guys, right? If you're in Florida, if you're in Georgia, if you're in Washington State growing apples, or Michigan doing sweet corn, we're all using this same H-2A visa program. What has finally happened is the wage rate has gotten so high, because when you go to the grocery store, man, if you see those prices going up, that's the retailer hitting you. It is not. They're essentially paying us 10-year ago prices, but our labor cost is going up 50% in that same time frame. All they've done is take away our profitability. So we're skating by on some really, really thin margins, which is why when you see a bad storm system or something come in, you know, it can, you've got to really manage things and be very, very, very close with the pencil, because you can do damage to yourself that you can't get out of in a decade.
Yeah.
You know, I need to take a break. I need to take a leak.
Yeah. So we just had to take a quick little potty break, because David had to.
I was getting this old Zen spin over here. Yeah, Kyle's got them things. They're like 3X over there or something.
No, it's a 6 milligram.
It was a little too
I thought
much.
I thought you had to dip in and just moved it to the side to put in the Zen, but he had gum in, and he's like, "What? Of course I'm gonna take it." And he was getting the head spin.
Yeah, I was getting the head spin from it. I had to take a little time out. I had to take a knee.
Take a knee face out.
Yeah.
Drink water.
Yeah, drink a little water. Yeah.
No, but I think we were talking about the H-2A stuff, and you know, the impact that has on, man, that's like super eye-opening for me to see it, about the labor costs in comparison to, you used the Social Security, and then you used the military wage.
Those wages
the
have been
percentages.
31% increase over 10 years, and it's been 50% in the H-2As. It's factored by something they call the adverse wage rate, right? And so just to kind of give you a real dumbed down version of what that is, it's like the good idea fairy said, okay, well, if we take this and we make it essentially detrimental to the grower, he'll hire Americans, right? Sounds great in theory, but Americans aren't coming to do agricultural work. They're not coming to do field work. They're not. Like, you're not going to come in here and it's just not going to happen. Like, the days of kids working in tobacco and things, like when I was in school, it's bygone era, right?
So you think that's why they've increased the wage?
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because it goes up year over year. You give them an increase and they do a survey on the wages. It went up. Well, it moves the bar every year. So it just continues to go up, 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 up.
Yeah.
And I did see where I think the president has put a freeze on some H-2B visas, or kind of changed that around to where it's cost them a lot more to bring them in, which is people who come in and work in professional aspects. Mm-hmm. The hope is that they will look at the H-2As, at least freeze it, like do something to keep it from going up year over year. You've got the majority of the population in the U.S. lies on the East Coast, right? And there's a tremendous amount of diverse agriculture all up and down the eastern seaboard. You know, you get down south of Florida, from Frostproof down that way, they're essentially growing crops year round, right? And Florida is and Georgia, a lot of those further southern states grow a lot of vegetables. The resistance we've had in the past, I think in 2019 or 2020, there was a guy out of Georgia, Congressman Goodlatte, had some legislation that almost made it through that would have frozen the H-2A wage and rolled it back. It was actually blocked at the time by McCarthy, the congressman out of California. The reasoning behind that is California's minimum wage is so high that the H-2A rate is either the H-2A rate or your state minimum wage, whichever is the higher of the two. All right, you give us on the eastern seaboard a break, California loses some of their market. A lot of the guys in California, because of their leadership, right? Like there's some really great people out in California, but they've got some leadership. They've got some ideas about things that, you know, make it difficult for some of the rest of us. Now, what some of those really big outfits have done is they have farms in Mexico. They will produce something in Mexico, and they're paying 50 cents a day there. They can send it across the border to their established U.S. production places, rebox it. Now it's a product of the U.S. because they have such less overhead in it. Now they can truck it to New York cheaper than that guy from Florida can bring it up because he's having to use H-2A labor and all those things within that. Now, if they give him a break, now the guy in California loses some of his market. He can't compete.
How can they legally just rebox it and say it's grown here?
Dude, I don't really know the answer to that, but it happens. You know, I guess because part of it's grown in the U.S., you know, and they have satellite operations.
When you say rebox it, what do you mean?
I guess they just take it and put it in there. They're bringing it in their facility. They kind of look at it, make sure everything looks okay, and then put it in there with the stuff that they grow in state and ship it. And he's looking at significantly less overhead. You know, now that may not be all of them, but that is something that occurs.
Yeah.
And whether you're a dairy producer in, you know, some of your really big dairies, the H-2A is how agriculture, particularly produce agriculture in the U.S., is driven. Yeah. Without it, we will cease to exist. You know, we hear this term corporate farms thrown around, which is a farce, man. You know, like technically I'm a corporation, David Etheridge Farms Incorporated. But you're sitting here talking with a guy that's in it every day. You know, I'm incorporated for business reasons, for tax reasons. But I'm a guy, you know, with 3 kids and trying to send them through school and provide for them and raise a family like anyone else. But it is very much a family farm.
Yeah.
So the idea that is the things that are said, you know, corporate farms. Dude, I don't know of any corporate farms. There are a handful of them, but that is not the norm. The norm is it is that guy out there working with his family, doing his thing, trying to produce a crop. You know, we're by nature, you know, farmers are kind of leave me alone, let me do my thing, right? Yeah,
that's what I wanted to talk about is what the type of person that chooses to go into the, obviously speaking on your own experience, you know, serving this country, and connecting the you know, the percentages of people that choose to pursue a life in agriculture. Sure. And whether it be, you know, fruit and vegetables or dairy or livestock, you know, and serving this country as well, as there is a connection in that way too, I think.
I think it's a similar personality, to be honest with you, Kyle. Look, you never signed up because you were thinking, man, I'm going to get wealthy doing this.
No.
Hey, well, I didn't either. You know, it's a passion. It's something that you're driven in. Kind of my comments earlier, right? Like if you're not all in it, this isn't what you want to do. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be successful because no one's going to pat you on the back. No one's going to get you out of bed. And you're not going to get fabulously wealthy. And it takes its toll physically and mentally. I mean, I'm worrying about the weather, things that I can't control. I'm worried about the things I can control. You know, here you and I are very similar in age, and I'm gray as all get out. You know.
Well, I'm going on my 3rd spinal surgery here soon, I think.
Well, so. there's that, and I'm not. So there's you've definitely beaten your body up a lot more for sure.
But the percentage, was it 2%? You said 2%?
I think it's just under 2% of the U.S. population is involved in agriculture. So that's, you know, that's all agriculture. It could be from sod production to a dairy farm, right? And I think with the military, it's like 1/2%.
I don't know what the exact.
It's pretty low.
Yeah.
You know? Now I don't know what that would be if you threw first responders and those guys in there as well.
Yeah, and that's what I would, and that if looking at it from that lens, it's like thinking of people that are serving outside of the borders, and then people that are serving.
I mean, service is service, right? Yeah. Like it's and it takes in my opinion. I mean, look, a lot of my friends like you and some other guys, like some of my closest friends were guys from your background, and I think it's because from a mentality, it's just, you know, don't about it, just do it, get it done.
Yeah,
you know, obviously. We care about each other and what happens, but at the end of the day, if you don't get out of bed, man, nobody's going to come shake you up and tell you to go to work.
Yeah.
You know? Please pull that statistic up there, man. Starship over here doing the Google thing for us.
Yeah. Well, he's looking that up. I think it'd be cool to talk about. as of mid 2025, there are approximately 1.3 million active duty, which is less than 1% of the total U.S. population. So that's active. But if you think about people that have ever served in relation to, veterans as well.
Yeah, it's pretty just
because there's a shelf life on it too.
Sure.
Like they have, times where that you have to get out. You can't serve for your life.
Yeah.
Whereas you could be a farmer for your life. Right?
Yeah.
Like for life.
This is true. And however, I think one of the things that I also see as a danger in this profession is the average age is somewhere around 59.
Yeah.
So it's an aging population. And for instance, man, my son, I don't think he has any desire to come in and because he has seen what it is that I deal with on a daily basis. He's actively participated in it. And I don't think he has any desire to do that. So to some degree, it's a relief. Only because with the development, the other pressures, I don't have to worry about providing for him. However, I'd be lying if I told you it wasn't part of me that would be super proud if he's like, this is what I want to do. Let's run with this. Let's get in here, man.
Yeah.
So when I'm gone, and I'm young now, man, 45, right, compared to 59, and honestly, I'd like to meet the 59-year-olds because most of the guys I know are in their upper 70s. I mean, I talked to 2 different guys this past week. They're like, yeah, I think I'm going to hang it up this year because I can, they're at a place where they've saved and done well enough, and they're ready to retire. They're just tired of chasing it.
What does that look like? Like if you were to,
for those guys,
like perfect world is they could sell.
They'll auction. Well, they'll probably auction off their equipment, and
really,
and kind of maybe maybe bale some straw, have a strawberry patch, do some smaller stuff. But as far as the production side,
I guess a buyout, is that something that you guys?
No, not typically, bro. It really isn't. It's more or less your equipment. They'll kind of sell off the assets that they've acquired over a lifetime, and I think that is probably not that side of it, but there is a mental health component. I think amongst the farming population, the suicide rate's like 3.5 times the general population. No, I'm not talking about service members, but I'm talking about the average U.S. population. It's 3.5 times the suicide rate. So,
that has something to do with just kind of suffering in silence, man.
I think it is. Yeah, and the pressures, like, if you've got a family operation, and how do you continue to do that?
And you're just skating, like you mentioned, depending on, like, because of the market prices haven't gone up because people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to pay 10 more cents for this item. It's not coming from you guys; it's coming from the retailer.
It's 100% the retailer. Yeah.
But yet the wage cost has gone up.
The wage cost. I'll tell you something else too, man. We'll just take soybeans, for instance, right? That's grown all over the U.S. I think currently right now they're just sitting above $8. All right. The first crop of soybeans that I grew myself was in like 1991 or 2. And, I sold them for right at about what they are now. Well, a bag of seed then was $8. Now it's probably $50, $55 because we've got this Roundup ready technology, and you're paying a lot of technology fees and things like that. So your overhead cost is significantly higher, but
they're making the same amount they're being sold for the same amount.
Correct.
Way back then.
Yeah, but your overhead
costs way more
like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And that is a really difficult place to be, and if you'll give me a moment, I'd actually like to just kind of touch on like Roundup ready stuff. If that's all right with you, man. Like, so, and some of this is going to be, as I see it, and obviously I'm not a scientist, right? I've just got practical application knowledge of these things. But Roundup ready technology and GMOs in general, we hear this term and it kind of gets thrown around. By definition, a genetically modified organism would be any crop that you bred that runs, that alters its natural state, right? Well, we've been selectively breeding crops for all of humanity, right? Like if you look at corn, how it really looks, like its origin, it looks more like rice. It doesn't look anything like it does now. But we've been selectively breeding these crops for disease resistance, resistance to drought, yield for forever, Now, as far as Roundup ready technology, and that is a crop that you can plant and spray Roundup on. For me, and I cannot speak to how it affects your health, but I can speak to how it affects us as producers and the environment in general. It's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to us for conservation. And the reason being, like when I was a young man, everything was conventionally tilled. We would disc it up, break it, chisel it, whatever, but the ground was tilled up, laid bare. We planted a crop, we plowed it. Everything was conventional. So when the wind blew, the soil blew. When it rained, it washed, right? And Roundup Ready technology took a lot of that away. We were able to move into more conservation tillage programs, and we were able to. It also helped as folks retired. We were able to absorb those acres and produce more acres per producer. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, it has been a wonderful tool for us. On the flip side of that, the technology fees that went into the seed has driven up the cost of the seed, right? When I was talking about how seed is so much more expensive, is because practically everything now is a GMO, right? Or it is a Roundup Ready, has a Roundup Ready gene bred into it. Mm-hmm. And all that means, Kyle, is like when that crop comes up, I can spray Roundup on it and the crop resists it. It doesn't kill it. I would love to see some of the studies with these where people have, like said, Roundup causes cancer from using it, because I've sprayed thousands and thousands of gallons of it in my lifetime, and it's a very safe product. So I don't know if these guys are like bathing in it. I don't know how they would get enough on themselves to cause themselves to have cancer, but I'm not here to debate that. These are questions I have in my mind, but from a grower standpoint, Roundup Ready technology has been a good thing for conservation.
What do you mean by conservation? Like disturbing the
Yeah, dude, man. When I was a kid, I'm talking about even a teenager, right? I had been in a field running a tractor and the wind get up, mm-hmm. and there would be such a dust storm that you'd have to stop because you couldn't see where you were going.
Yeah.
Because we tilled everything and laid it bare, when the wind blew, it dried out and it would just be dust, and it was like that everywhere, right? You don't see that now. In the spring of the year when we're planting and doing our stuff and the wind blows, you don't see dust going just everywhere, But it would look like a miniature dust bowl around here.
So it's meant to keep everything where you want it.
Yeah. So
whether it be water or
correct
or wind,
absolutely,
atmospherics, like not impacting it as much.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I say a reduced tillage system, we will plant a cover crop, whether it be rye or triticale or wheat or whatever, and in the spring of the year we'll destroy that crop. That crop is just there to keep the earth,
the soil like fertile.
Absolutely, just to keep everything in place.
See, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then we plant into it, and you take that as being done from here all the way out, to California, the Midwest, and all those places. And excuse me, it's been a wonderful thing for conservation.
Yeah,
I don't see that going away either, because like if somebody says, "Hey, we'll just get it from Brazil," well, guess what Brazil's doing? They're using the technology we developed here and planting it down there too.
Yeah,
it's just kind of the way it is.
Well, I think this has been an interesting conversation. I think I definitely wanted to get into how we met. I think that's an interesting conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just God's hand moving in that sense. Kind of from then to now,
sure.
Seated right across from each other, but also. More of some of the struggles of this type of lifestyle, and we'll do that in the bonus episode though.
Absolutely, because I tell you, man, the same you and I meeting when I met you and Erica that mm-hmm. time, right? It hadn't been all that long before that someone that we both know, and I'm not going to call his name out, right? Because I don't know that he wants anybody to be out in front or whatever, mm-hmm. but he was from your background, and he and I are very good friends, and helped kind of guide me on through a really rough time in my life to becoming saved, and really it just kind of was one of those things. It was my time to, you and Eric are great people, and I'll tell you, I've said this to you before, and your wife is a rock star. Yeah, she really is, man. You're very blessed. You got a great family, but
Thank you.
It is as strong as I know you are. Like Erica, yeah, dude. She's a rock, bro.
She's the real MVP.
Yeah, she's a rock, man.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good spot to wrap this one up. But man, we're definitely going to dive into some more deeper, heavier stuff on the bonus episode. But this has been a very informative and interesting conversation, man. So thank you for breaking it down at a level at which I can understand at least some of the the education side of it, but even the frustrations. Thank you for sharing that stuff.
Well, look, and I really appreciate the opportunity to to speak on behalf of growers and maybe raise a slight awareness to some of the things that we're dealing with, right? And I really appreciate the opportunity to come on your platform and share a little bit of that. I know we just really scratched the surface. I think a lot of times people see the shiny objects and they think, that shiny object has a tremendous amount of overhead with it, and it's just a tool, right? It's no different than your EDC stuff that you carry with you, right? It's what you have to have on you to perform the task at hand. And there's usually a lot more to it than what appears.
Well, that's why, because you guys may be asking, why. For one, I think that's what we'll dive into the bonus episode more about the stuff you were talking about this issue that you see potentially happen in the next 20, 25 years in our economy, with how we source and where do we get our produce from, or just agriculturally.
And I'll tell you, bro, because first and foremost, right, like food security is national security.
Yeah.
Like, what is one thing we haven't worried about here? Like, we are a land of plenty. We are net exporters. However,
water and food, man. Food and shelter.
Sure. And we're a country that is very rich in resources and people that are innovative. However, we have to value those people, right? Whether it's our war fighters or our first responders, right? Well, farmers are kind of like somewhat of a backbone. We're in the supply chain, but we're not sexy, right? It's not the gear.
Well, that's a really good point. Like that, I think you guys will understand too. Is like I've got all this training when it comes to firearms and tactics, and say things do hit the fan. Like, well, I'm armed. I'm capable. I can build up capacity in that sense, but also, like, I could go and take over your source. I could go over and take over yours. I don't want to, but I will if I have to.
Sure.
What happens when the sources run out though?
Right.
If we don't have the ability to grow it.
Yeah. The difference is when that scenario comes, I'm going to join forces with you.
Yeah.
Because I've got some of that and be like, hey, let's team up. And
let's go, dude. Right down the road.
Right. Like I've got just enough to like kind of defend my stuff, but like I'm going to surround myself with people like that and be like, you know what? Guess what?
I'll just say, you don't want to be messing around Etheridge Farms in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you being on this episode, and I look forward to the episode that releases next week, where we dive into a lot more of this that we're already kind of talking to. But
absolutely,
man, I really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Check us out, like I said, on that Patreon bonus episode that you can only see on Blue Bearing's Patreon. But let's all just continue the podcast.